It's one of the only AAA games, and thank God it's AAA now. You know, I feel like it is. It's selling a bunch and so much. Demon Souls was kind of like this creepy little, you know, weird thing from Japan, and now
terrible
Dark Souls
mechanics
2.
and stuff.
Right, and it was like, what is this odd game? Nobody knows, and now Dark Souls 2 is like a big mainstream thing, but it expects so much of you, and it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't tell you anything. You can ruin the entire game for yourself at any point, and I don't know. Does that seem? Do you view that as stupid or brave?
I see it as being brave. I mean, it does come. It's a AAA game which is. I feel like this day and age we're so like the games are so much easier these days. I remember playing back on like the PS2, the PS1 era, particularly for me, where I really got into games a lot. I felt like the games were like so much harder then, and I was dying, and I was coming back and doing checkpoints. Where I feel like now I'm not really dying too much in games. I mean, Infamous Second Son, for example, I died, I guess, a few times because the enemies just flock at you, and it does get a bit overbearing, but. Compared to like Dark Souls, where it's so properly like hardcore, you have to like do everything over and over and over again. You just got to keep practicing, leveling up, and just it's definitely rewarding. But I feel like sometimes it punishes a little bit too much. It puts the dagger a bit quite hard and twists it a little bit as well, and so you got this really like pain in your chest.
Yeah, it definitely is painful. It's one of the only games that makes me like sweat and scream and yell. And at the same time, though, I feel like that is what defines it as this really great game, because most games these days are like sort of an amusement park ride. You're along for the ride, you're doing the stuff, sure, but it's basically carrying you through the experience. You know, even something like Infamous, like you said, you die a few times, but for the most part, you're going from here to there and doing the missions, and not much is stopping you. It's kind of like, let's enjoy the ride. Dark Souls 2 is very much like you could buy that game, play an hour, and never go farther. Or you could spend ages just wandering in an environment. Like, I feel like very much so you are playing against the game in Dark Souls rather than with the game. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like the enemies are almost like real in that game because they're it's so against you. You know,
yeah,
you have
so punishing, isn't it? When you do, I don't know, stuff like when you're doing that boss, you just get flicked into the lava so easily. It's just like, oh man.
You have to really work at it though, and like you could go a different path or here, and I think that to me that's what sets it apart, is that it's very unique. It doesn't rely on many of the tropes that current quote big games rely on. And it's also an interesting comparison. You take something like Titanfall, people kind of were questioning, is this worth $60 being multiplayer only, no real campaign, the campaign that's there is pretty crappy. Dark Souls 2, like, I've put hours upon hours, 40 plus episodes into that game, and I'm not even at the halfway point.
That's a bit, almost sounds a bit too long, because I think this sort of game should be a long experience, but not like drawn out, if that makes any sense. It feels like it's starting to become a little bit. When you said you're only halfway, I was like, wow, I feel sorry for you a little bit.
The only thing that the credit I give it is like, it's not putting you on fetch quest. It's all new environments, and you know what I mean? So there definitely is a balance of like, oh my God, I'm done with this game. So I don't know. Like I said, I go back and forth being like, this is the best game of all time, and like, this is just a tiresome exercise in frustration and repetition.